Hey creators, in this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a 1v1 mechanic where you can change the health. So where you have 200 health, where you have 180 health. Now, it's pretty simple, right? Say I'm 180 health right now, and this is the 200 button. I shoot it once, 200. Same goes for the other one, right? If this one is 180, boom, shoot it once, 180. And the same goes for the buttons. So, again, you can change the text. I forgot to do that. But if I want 200 health, interact, 200. If I want 180 health, interact, 180 health. Let's make it. Let's get straight into it. Let's get our two triggers set up real quick. This is just so you can shoot them. Now I'm gonna edit both of them at the same time, so it goes faster. So I don't want it to be triggered by miracles. I don't want it to sequence water, and I want it enabled at game start. Now, a little side note before I go in, I did forget to say this, but in the triggers, of course, you also want it to be on for the trigger damage. I just did triggered player, that doesn't work. I want it to trigger by damage so I can shoot the trigger. I also want them visible in-game, since, yeah, we want to be able to shoot them. Now, I like to put a trigger delay on it since, sometimes if you shoot them a lot or if you build over them, they tend to break. So I just like to have a little delay on them just in case. VFX and SFX doesn't really matter. And yeah, I think that is basically it. Now I also want to change, just to make them look a little bit prettier, right? We like to make them look a little bit prettier. I want to change them both to a spear. Or a sphere. And then we want to change, so let's say for the 200 one, let's make it a red color. Just so we can, let's see if we can find it. That's fine, yeah. And let's take the other one, let's take this one, and again, we're gonna get a sphere. I'm doing this in the mesh. If we do it in the static mesh, it's not gonna work. So put it in mesh, and let's find a green one for this one, just because we can, right? So we've got two buttons now in theory. Give me a sec. Put them up here, perfect. Or two triggers at least. Now let's get the buttons in. Now for this one, I am gonna just fully copy the coordinates so we can put it straight in. Now it's gonna be inside, and then we can, of course, again, add a little, I don't know, a delay. Yeah, we might add a little delay just because actually interaction time is probably better for this one. Just so, you know, it looks a little bit nicer. Now for this one, let's just put 180 HP text. Let's just put 180, yeah, just 180 HP actually, that's fine. We want it visible, and where do we find it? Give me a sec. Where is the, am I blind? Yeah, there we go. Let's just put it now, let's put it to 1. Yeah, let's put it to 2. 1.5. Good. Nice. And then we just fully straight on copy this and just, again, get the coordinates over here, boom, and then set it in here. All right. So now we've actually got the way you're going to be triggering, right? But we're still missing how to actually get the HP, right? So this is done through classes. So if we get the classes, now we want two things. We want a class selector and we want a class designer, right? And again, I'd advise probably putting these out of the way, because if you walk over the class selector, you will select the class. So just, you know, maybe put it under the map or something. In this case, I'm just going to do it like this. And for the class, we want to, first of all, set the class slot. Let's just do 1 for that one and 2 for this one. Perfect. And again, for the class selector, so it selects number 2. And for this one, that it selects number 1. Perfect. Now, all we really want to do in here is actually just change the max health. So for this one, we wanted 180. Well, we want 80, 180. Nice. And for this one, we want 100, 100. Now, just in case, because sometimes it does tend to not be enabled down here, we want to ensure that the starting shield and the starting health is both at 100%. Perfect. Now, this should work. Now we just got to connect it. And we're going to do that through verse, because it makes life a lot easier. So let's just start off, and you can call it anything. I'm going to call it Game Manager. And let's create it. Yes, we want to save. Nice. Alright, so once you've opened up the script, it will look similar to mine. Of course, I'm just going to delete all the comments. Boom, 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 because I do not care. Now, what we want to do is initialize all the things we need. So what do we need? We need button device. We need a class and team selector device. And we want a trigger, right? So let's just create it. Editable. And do health 200 button. Button device equal button device. There we go. Yep. And we basically want another one of these because we're creating 2 buttons, right? And we're just gonna call it 180. Perfect. We got the 2 buttons now. Next, we're gonna want the trigger. So let's do 200 trigger just to make it follow our little. Oh, we're not doing a button this time. We're doing a trigger device. Trigger device. There we go. Yep. And we're gonna want to copy this one 2 times or as many times as you want, right? So if you want one that's also 150 health, then of course you just make it extra, right? Shouldn't be a rocket science at least. And then last but not least, we want to make the class. And for this one, pretty simple. Just, again, what are you gonna call it? And then getting a class. Now this one is a little bit long. So I'm just gonna copy it again here. Boom, 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 and boom. Now, of course, all of these are in here. If you want to trigger it by something else, then that's fair. You go for it. But all the documentation is at least in the Fortnite folder here, for all the devices. Now, again, for this one, we're gonna want to copy it, and then we're gonna want to create a 180. Perfect. Now we've got everything we actually need. Next thing is basically just whenever the script is supposed to run, or when the game runs, what is supposed to happen? Well, first of all, we don't want to print hello world or have some calculations. What we want to do is we want to set up some events, right? So if the 200 button event interacted with event, then we want to subscribe to something. Now we're gonna make it let's just call it health 200 event, right? Now it's gonna look a little bit funny until we've actually created it down here. So actually let's just do that, just so it doesn't look not pretty. And then again down here, I believe the button requires an agent, so of course we are going to give it an agent. However, we're not going to use an agent because we do not want to change it for that specific player. We want to change it for all the players, so everybody has 180 health and 200 health or whatever. So we're not going to actually use the agent. The agent is there, but it needs, or else it's going to complain. Now all we actually want to do down here is getting all players. Now all players, funny enough, is getting all the players. So we want to get play space, if I can spell, get players, like that. Now we've got all the players in here, but still, we're not getting health. So let's just call this not agent, because we're not going to use it. This is just, you can call it this whatever. This is just basically, how you call the agent, basically. So we're going to call agent of all players. Again, you can call this whatever you want. You can call it all. Yeah, I think you could call this. No, you can call it all players, actually. You can call it whatever, right? It doesn't matter. But you make a for loop, and in that for loop, what do you want to happen? Well, in that for loop, we want to change everybody to the 200 class. Change class for agent. Now, the agent, again, is in the for loop. It's not this agent up here. It's this one. We can call this everyone. And we can put this down here, right? It's the same concept. Just have that one, at least. Don't use the one we initialized up here. And then it's basically just copy pasting at this point, right? So, okay, we want the health 180 button. We want the same thing to really happen, so we're just going to copy it. Of course, changing one thing up here, 180 instead. And we're just making another one down here. So, 180 event. And we can basically do the same thing up here. So, boom, boom, And then instead of having the 200 class, just have the 180 class. Simple. Now, again, for the trigger, this is a little bit different, right? So it's not the same where we go in and interact with the event. We want to change it a little bit. So again, if you want to do it, we can go in here, search for the trigger, device, boom, boom, boom. And then it's a triggered event. However, this time it required a maybe agent, as I like to call it, or a no agent. Let's just copy the trigger. I use this and just have. And again, this is not the trigger or the button this time. This is trigger, boom, and then we subscribe to a event. Now for this one, we can't actually use this event, even though I really, really wanted to. Because it requires a maybe agent, and this one has a agent. Now, there is a difference, and I'm not going to go into detail what it is, but let's just create another event. And it's just the same concept again, right? You go down here, you create, now we've done it for the 180, so let's just copy basically what we've done in the 180 here. Now for this one, again, not agent, and then this time you don't want to do a question mark in front of it, and void equal, and then the same down here. It's basically just copy pasting, copy pasting, copy pasting. It's a pretty simple script if you understand basic verse. And it's a very good script to get started with regarding verse, because it is so simple, right? It's just copy pasting, copy pasting, copy pasting. It's basically just connecting everything together. Now the reason why we're doing it in verse is if you were to do it in game, it actually only happens for the agent, right? So this part right here is basically what changes that, right? So of course, down here, we're going to change it to 200, not 2000. And again, we're going to change the class from, just going to copy it up here then, I guess. And boom. Simple. Already done. Now, same concept, right? If we were to do it for a mutator zone, which is currently broken, we just basically initialize a mutator zone up here, right? And then for this one, it would probably be agent enters event, right? So if it enters the zone, then it will change, yeah, for everyone. Now again, this requires an agent. So it's basically just doing what happens in here, and then just not using the agent. It's a funny script, right? It's super, super simple, and it doesn't take too long, right? I did this in, I don't know, like 5 minutes maybe. Also explaining it, so it will probably take a bit faster if you just use 100% of your brain power. But yeah, let's see if it actually works. Now we want to put in our creative device, which we call the game manager. Boom. And of course, first of all, we want to build a verse script. That could be a good start. Now, in here, you just connect everything, right? So what is the 200 button? That's the button over here. I think that's number 2. And the 180 button is the first one. Same goes for the trigger. So what is the 200 one? We'll see trigger 2 is the 200 one, and trigger 1 is the 180 one. And the same goes for class. So this is where you might screw up if you don't remember which one it is. So you might want to go and check, okay, number 2 is the 200 one. So we put in number 2 and number 1. All right. Basically, this is it. So if we want to change it, or if we want to test it, I want to give myself a item granter. This is just, so I can get a gun. You are not required to do this. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Now I just want to let's use the new striker AR, just because they were so nice to add it to us. Yeah, I don't care. Just all grind and cycle. Don't care. Don't care. Grind on game start. I don't care. And let us grind when we spawn in. All right, perfect. And I believe this is all the settings. Yeah, this is fine. All right, let's test it. Let's launch the session and let's see if it actually works. All right, we are in game now. I've gotten my weapons. Now, of course, if you want 200 health by default, then of course you want this one enabled by default. So of course just set up an event for that. That's totally up to you. You can do it in the script as well. I believe you can change the class on begin. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail with that. But we have our 2 what's it called? Triggers. So let's test it. 200. Let's test it for this one. 180. Now the reason why it has the delay, of course, is what I said. I tend to sometimes, if I spray them a lot, it tends to break, right? So that's why I have the delay. Of course, you can put no delay on. Now I can see I did mess up with the text. Of course, change the text to 200 if you wanted 200. Let's interact. I got 200. Go over here. I got 180. Perfect. Now, again, like I said, also hide these, because if I go over, then it's just going to change. Yeah. So, yeah, that was basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have anything you want me to make, do a tutorial on, be sure to comment it down below. I don't have any ideas. I just saw someone on Twitter ask for this, so, you know, I decided why not. This is going to take 5 minutes, so yeah. Make sure to comment if you have any issues. I'll try to you know, help as much as I can. I'm a bit busy lately. And be sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed.